Hey, artsy friends. Welcome to my last page of my Glow art journal. This is the third composition notebook art journal that I've made. So I start with a cheap composition notebook and I tear out some pages and I glue some together and then I just cover it in whatever. So today I'm starting with a lot of the scrap papers that I've been using throughout this and maybe some other journals. So I often will take a piece of paper and put it behind the page I'm working on, as you can kind of tell. And other times I use a paper to get markers started. So I thought I would use those to collage the last page. So I have no real plan. Most of my method is very just make it up as you go, kind of that intuitive process, which I know if you're like watching a tutorial or something is kind of annoying because you're like, well, what if I don't intuitate? Anyway, but really just building on the last step that you did. So, you know, making decisions one piece at a time. Okay. Like just paying attention to maybe the color and perhaps the lines or the shapes and just move things around until they look like you like them. And knowing that you're going to continue to build and build on a page like this where you're collaging more for a base layer. Now there's so many cool doodles and colors in these papers that I know that I don't want to cover them all up, but I am just going to kind of have some fun and glue down a bunch of pieces to start with. Okay, so I'm not going to cover every square inch of the background. I'm going to leave a little bit of the paper showing through, which is fine. And then I'm using some of my bright neon colors. These little tubes are acrylic paints that I got from Hobby Lobby. They're Master's Touch. They're not actually advertised as like blacklight paints, but they glow really well. And they actually have a brighter color, I think, in regular light than the neon blacklight paints by Folk Art, which is the other brand that I use. So I use them both. And now I'm kind of filling in some of the kind of the background-y, which I don't know, that's not a very good word. Basically, I don't want to cover up too many of my cute little fun splashes and doodles and scribbles. So I'm finger painting in between the lines and just putting like a little dab here and there. Like as I put the green, I want to make sure it's just going to blend over the yellow and not the orange, because orange and green don't really, if they're both wet and you start blending them, it kind of turns kind of mushy. So I always try to pay attention to that. And then I'm adding a little pink because I always like pink on my pages. Okay, so I like to dry between layers if I don't want anything wet to blend. And I'm going to add a little bit of this blue. This is supposed to also be a black light neon paint, but honestly, the blue doesn't really show up that much, just a little bit. But anyway, I figured I would make some rings with this little packaging thing that I have. You can use a cup or anything circular. And then it just kind of looks like coffee stain rings around the page. So when I'm at the craft store, I always like to peruse the clearance area. So I found this yesterday for like, what was it, 49 cents or 94 cents? 94 cents, which is the year I graduated high school. So what were you doing in 1994? So I am just spreading it around the page a little bit. So it seems like anytime you get like glitter thing, it's just basically like a clear, almost a glue base with glitter or flecks or something in it. So I got like 3 different types. I had, the first one was like this blue, purple, and then a shimmery one. Okay, so for my quote, I printed up on the computer a font that was kind of big and chunky. And then this is a really easy way. If you're not like super confident with lettering or writing, this is a really easy way to create a title or quote or whatever you want to do that you can kind of plan out ahead of time. So for such a time as this, I'll explain what that means a little bit more. But I am just moving it around the page, trying to decide, do I want it, to kind of wave across, or do I want it all on one side? So I decided to put it on the right, kind of at an angle. And then I wanted to put some flowers in a mason jar. And the first one was too small, and the second one is too big. So I went back, I'm like, I need one just about in between. So there we go. You wasted 3 pieces of paper, but hey, I'll probably figure something else out. And I always recycle my unused papers. And then I am using, so people call it different things. It's graphite paper or tracing paper is how I always remember what it being called. And then that way I can just trace it right onto my page and then go back and outline it. One thing I remembered shortly after I got started is that you probably want to tape down your template so that it doesn't move while you're tracing. That way, when you lift it up, it's not going to be confusing. It'll be, the letters and the lines will be right where you want them. So I took a minute to tape it all down so I'd make sure it was where I wanted it, and then continued to trace around with just a pencil. You can use any little blunt, and it stuck a little bit because some of the glue wasn't completely dry. I did use a hairdryer that I edited out, but okay, so now I'm tracing my little mason jar on this side. My original plan was to do a total negative space blackout, but as you can see from the thumbnail, I did not choose to do that because I just love so much of the bright background colors that I decided not to fill in the whole background. But I like this little mason jar thing, and I'm gonna put a few flowers and which I'm going to come back to after I outline my letters. I like speeding it up. There's something kind of satisfying instead of just skipping, like seeing it. Ta-da. Okay, so I'm going to freehand some flowers, which, using a tracing paper can be kind of helpful, but it can also become kind of a crutch if you want to learn to draw or not worry about perfectionism or whatever. Then sometimes I'm like, well, I don't want to just trace everything. Flowers are really not that hard. I can do some flowers. So make a couple little daisies there. And then I'm going to thicken in some of the lines. So this quote, for such a time as this, comes from the story of Esther in the Bible. So she was chosen to replace a queen that didn't respect her husband and the king. And so his advisors said to go and choose a new queen. And so Esther becomes queen, and it's illegal in that time for anyone to approach the king without being summoned. But okay, long story short, she approached him because there was an edict that went out that was going to destroy her people. And so she risked her life to come before the king and ask for his favor. And so her uncle, who's advising her, says, who knows, like maybe God put you in this place for such a time as this. And so a lot of us use that story to remind ourselves that sometimes when our circumstances are crazy and hard, and perhaps they're setting us up for something to be used in a way that's going to be very redemptive. And so we're all put here in this time and place, and perhaps he's got a plan in the middle of it all. I believe he does. So there's my glow page. I hope that you enjoyed watching my process, and that you'll come back. And next time I will be showing a complete flip through of this art journal, which I will do under the glow light as well. And so come back and hang out with me again. Have a blessed day and go make some art.